Hello, you watching my video? But I see you haven't liked this video, and I see you're not subscribed. What the hell are you doing? Do you want me to choke you?
Hey, that wasn't your line. Say it right this time or else.
Okay, Daddy. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and share this with your friends. Simps. Blah blanken.
Alright, this time I got a pretty spicy video today that I really have to, how do I even put it, share with you guys my opinion on this, because I just don't agree with how everybody's kind of responding to this. So if you haven't been living under a rock, you've probably heard of look, I can try and pronounce her name, but I'll butcher it to hell. This took place in Ohio. It was around 4:32 p.m. Officers were dispatched in a response to a 911 call. Allegedly, a female caller had reported another female was trying to stab them. Multiple females, by the way. Then officers were dispatched at 4:36 and arrived at around 4:44. Now, it's actually reported, and apparently it was from the victim themselves. They actually called the police. I'm gonna actually play a little bit of the footage just to give you guys an idea if you're not up to date with this, with kind of what happened.
What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey.
The cop actually is literally just arriving. He hops out of his car and he's like, you know, talking his way like, what's going on?
Hey, 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 get down, get down, get down, get down.
What happened here? Because it was a little fast. So this is actually the supposed caller, because she was getting chased by a bunch of females. So she's clearly holding a knife, and as you can see here, the girl in the pink is actually being passive. She's not doing anything. She looks like she's holding her dog, whatever, walking up to the cop, trying to explain what's going on. You see these two ladies going at it, and for some reason, the 16-year-old that was shot and killed pulls out a knife and actually tries to stab the person that was being submissive. For what I think of the video and what happened, it's a tragic event that happened. A 16-year-old lost her life way too young. And while people can argue and say she called the cops to come down here because she was getting chased, and apparently she called I think her uncle or something like that. And that's this guy right here. This is apparently just a little bit of the footage that was released. I don't think anything after this is irrelevant because nobody else was hurt. It was only the victim. But what I do know is the girl in a pink was submissive, doing nothing. And then out of nowhere, she even has a dog in her hand. She gets attacked with a knife. Now you gotta put yourself in the cop's position. You got a girl with a knife who could fatally kill someone. You gotta make the choice, man. And especially if you just arrived on the scene, you don't know what's happening. This girl is about to stab somebody, which you don't know. You know, for anybody that could say, oh, why use a gun? Why be trigger happy? You really gotta think about this realistically. She had that knife. She wasn't planning on just stabbing her. She planned, like, you could tell she was going for the intent to kill, as where the knife is pointing to. I mean, look where her hand is positioned exactly. It's like between the neck area, more towards the head, which is a very fatal part, upper body. I think personally, her death, even though she was a 16-year-old, was justified. Whether she was the one who called the dispatchers or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is the footage I can see from here. And unless this is edited somehow, she was sadly a victim of her own. I don't even know how to put it into words. It's sad. It's saddening, you know. Somebody lost their daughter, you know. You can't really blame anybody, but I've been seeing a lot, like people trying to criticize and say that this killing was unjust. It's funny because every time I see that, the only thing they mention is she's 16, or, you know, her skin color, she's black, and it was a white cop. But I feel like people are delusional at this point. Look, I'm all up for Black Lives Matter. Okay, look, I'm not saying we're trying to tarnish the name. This to me doesn't look unjust. The cop had to make a decision. This woman could have lost her life if the police didn't do what he had to do. I think she even says it if you look up in the video. She tried to kill me. She tried to stab me, or one of those things, you know? It's unfortunate. But also another thing I've seen is they don't really mention the knife. They just mention, you know, she's 16, you know. Here's a little clip of what exactly I'm talking about here. Yeah, she was a child with a knife with the intent to stab this other woman. And keep in mind that number, you know, people can't say, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing or whatever. That's dumb. Because at 16, I was doing things mathematically. You know, if my parents never went to school, but they know the difference between right and wrong and not to stab someone, then I know somebody who's 16 and probably educated in high school with these advanced mathematics and scientific hypothesis and all this other stuff should definitely know that stabbing somebody in front of the police, it's not okay. If you're gonna tell me that the cop should have done something else within those couple of seconds of thinking of, oh, I need to, the whole point of the police is to protect someone, right? If somebody's life is in danger, I want them to protect, you know? And if they need to shoot an aggressor that could possibly take somebody else's life, I think that's okay, you know? Like I said before, the whole Black Lives Matter movement, for the most part, I've been agreeing with, you know, the whole two, especially with the whole two incidents and, you know what I'm talking about, George Floyd and the teenager who lost his life when trying to escape the cops. I think 100% the lady who shot him was 100% trigger happy. The kid was just trying to run away. I don't think there was any need for that unnecessary extra force of the gun. 100%. The kid was not being violent towards them at all, other than just trying to wrestle his way out of there to get into the car and escape. He wasn't trying to hurt the police or anything like that. But this lady, she was trying to stab another woman, and it could have been fatal. You can't just rule it out and say, no, she wouldn't, no, it wasn't. So I think this one was unjust, but let's just keep watching this.
She was 16! She was 16! She was 16! Fuck 12! 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 Fuck 12!
Here's another tweet from this verified, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that because I'm gonna butcher their name, but she says, so here we are in the midst of a guilty verdict. Another trigger happy cop shoots and kills a 15-year-old girl when she was the one that called them for help, claiming they saw a knife. I'm sorry, what is that weapon that she has in her hand that she's trying to point at somebody that looks like exactly like a knife, that looks like a cutting knife that you use to cut potatoes or whatever, right? Notice how she doesn't even mention here about how she was gonna try and actually murder this woman right here, or how the other woman was innocently, because if you watch the video, she wasn't doing anything but holding her puppy. Now I don't know what happened before, but what I do know is the minute the cop arrived, she did nothing to her. So I don't know. I think it's stupid that you try and defend her like this. I think 100% what happened was tragic. A 16-year-old lost her life. May she rest in peace. Alright, so here's a claim. So it's possible to save lives without shooting and killing a child, but a few weeks back there was quite a few saying the officer in the Columbus had to kill her. A female teacher disarmed the girl who held her until law enforcement arrived and took her into custody. Those without giving the other details. From what I can read, this guy's trying to defend and say this person was able to disarm this person. The officer had 2 seconds at least, maybe even 1. You can even push it to 3 to 4 to decide, was he going to let and not do his duty as a cop to protect this woman? Like I said, I don't know if she's innocent or not, because whatever she did before the cop came in there could have been fucked up. You know, I don't know. But at the end of the day, she was being passive in the video, didn't attack the other girl. This girl comes at her with a knife. It's a different situation. You had to think logically. The cop needed to do what he needed to do. Like I said, rest in peace, her soul. This is an unfortunate event. Alright, so here's another video. Here's another video of somebody trying to defend the case of I'm not gonna pronounce the name because I'm really butchering.
Like 2 days ago, and I can't stop thinking about it, and you should absolutely go read it now. People were so quick to write off Ma'Khia Bryant's murder when they heard that she had a knife. What people don't know is she spent the past 2 years in a foster care system that failed her and failed her family and kept her separated from her grandmother and her mother, and placed her in traumatic living situations. People don't know that the day she was murdered, somebody pulled a knife on Ma'Khia and her little sister first. And people don't know that Ma'Khia went to grab a steak knife from the kitchen to defend herself. And people don't know that that person was threatening to beat up Ma'Khia, her little sister, and her grandmother. And then that person spat at them in a pandemic where the virus is transmitted via aerosol and spit. And when Ma'Khia went to defend them, she was murdered by police. And people don't want to know all that. All they want to know is what excuse they have to not care about a little black girl who was murdered by police in Ohio.
Alright, so some of the things she said is sad to hear, you know. That she had all these traumatic things that happened to her. But that's never an excuse, even if the other person pulled a knife on you guys. And that's never an excuse to pull a knife and try to stab someone in front of a cop. I don't understand how people do not understand that and think this is some unjust death. The cop made a decision because somebody was going to get stabbed in front of him. The cop is supposed to protect the life here. Am I blind or am I just different?
Fucking on her sis, either way she's open.